Digital data is such an intangible concept, it's surprising to learn that all data is transmitted at an actual physical level. Millions of miles of fiber optic cables carry sensitive information across the globe in a matter of seconds. Protecting this data gets more difficult every day, and although methods like encryption may help, many ignore the importance of that physical component.
Everyone is familiar with the cyber attacks, the traditional ones such as malware, ransomware, phishing for passwords. These types of attacks are computer-to-computer attacks. The purpose of these attacks is to extort money from the victims. Physical attacks, or wiretapping, on the other hand, have a single purpose in mind, and that is to capture information traveling between computers. It's a person-to-network attack. Encryption doesn't prevent a hacker from obtaining data. It only slows down the hacker's ability to use it.
There are 16 critical infrastructure sectors, and they are sectors that have been identified by the Department of Homeland Security as being crucial to the security of the United States government as well as to our way of life. Within these sectors, information is being transmitted along optical networks, as is most data throughout the world today. And those optical components are vulnerable to someone tapping at a physical layer and drawing off data.
Any organization transmitting vital information should be aware of the risks to the physical layer of their network. Government agencies have been integrating inventive security solutions for a number of years, but private enterprises also need to be aware of these physical infrastructure vulnerabilities.
Encryption is good for data, both in transit and at rest. The issue with encryption is it assumes that nobody has physical access to the system. Once you gain physical access to the system, then it is possible to extract the data at the user endpoint. So encryption is great, but it's only part of the solution. Physical protection is essential.
Throughout the world, most high-speed data is transmitted along optical networks, fiber optic cables. And the way the optical networks work is light is injected into the fiber. That light carries all of the data, so an adversary can put a receiver on that light and have a copy of all of your data, but there is so little leaks out that the network managers will not detect that, and they're just free to take the data.
Network Integrity Systems addresses the need for preventative measures in wiretapping and provides solutions to secure data transmitted by government agencies, data centers, and other critical industries.
We have developed advanced patented algorithms that learn the environment, learn the telltale vibrations of truck delivery, of elevators going off, and suppressing that information and only detecting and alarming on the things that weren't there before. Someone sawing through a pipe housing a cable, someone handling a cable as a prelude to an intrusion. In this way, we suppress the ambient, eliminating false alarms, and only when there is a threat will we alarm.
When Network Integrity Systems first started in 2003, the industry's state-of-the-art method for protecting cabling was to encase or install the cables in steel pathways and inspect them daily to ensure no intrusions into them occurred. That method did not scale with the proliferation of the classified networks and more personnel getting access to these networks. The labor intensity of inspecting those pathways on a daily basis was costly, intensive, and often neglected. The level of effort was extensive and impossible to audit. The security was only guaranteed up to the last time it was visually inspected.
We have made the cable itself its own sensor, thereby increasing the security, allowing for many, many more protected networks at a much lower cost.
When we think of traditional security from physical assets, we think of access controls. In this case, we're protecting transport of data, and that transport is in areas that isn't visible to the public. It's in the plenum spaces above the ceiling. It's in the spaces below the floors. This technology is protecting those assets that we don't, as the general public, see where those assets are located, but our adversaries know that they're there.
NIS really comes in and offers a full scope solution. You really get a much more comprehensive selection of options for physical security to protect that cybersecurity and information on the inside.
A prominent research firm once estimated that 75% of all network cabling is located in publicly accessible spaces. While it's accessible, it's usually out of sight, and therefore fiber optic taps placed there can go unnoticed forever. It's important to remember, detection buys you time, and time buys you options.
Cyber attackers are becoming more skilled and well-funded every day, making protecting sensitive data more and more difficult. Don't grant hackers access to your information. Let network integrity systems close that back door permanently.